You're listening to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast network.
Hello, my name is Steven Daniels, and I'm the host of Clock Blockers, the #1 Miami fan show, and that's another Miami Dolphins First Down podcast, right here on Dolphins Talk. Before you watch this video or listen to it on audio, do me a huge favor. If you're watching this right now, hit the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And don't forget to hit the bell notification. That way you get notified anytime Dolphins Talk goes live. If you're listening to this wherever it is you get podcasts, make sure you subscribe to Dolphins Talk. We want you to get the best content about your favorite football team, the Miami Dolphins. Now, enjoy this exclusive content right here on Dolphins Talk. Welcome back live right here on Clock Blockers, the #1 Miami fan show, right here on Dolphins Talk. We are live with a couple of famous people in the building. If you don't know these people, you're not on Twitter, because obviously if you've seen what the thumbnail is for this show, you know this is Dolphins Twitter versus Dolphins reality. So I had to have a couple of big-time people from the Dolphins Twitter world come up so we could have a discussion. Before we get started and I introduce everybody, make sure you hit the like button. That way you, and also subscribe to the channel. That way you get notified anytime Dolphins Talk goes live with content about your favorite football team, the Miami Dolphins. All right, I got a couple of great people on the show today. First, I'm going to introduce Ghost of Adam Gase. I first heard about him probably right around the Adam Gase era, obviously, and he's always had great tweets, and I've interacted with him through Twitter. And then last year, he came to the Washington game and saw my setup for the Miami Sports Music Greeter Tailgate event. And then ever since then, Ghost of Adam Gase has been like the coolest person ever. So, ladies and gentlemen, Ghost of Adam Gase. What's up, man?
I don't know if a lot of people would agree with you on that one, but I appreciate the introduction.
I do.
Thanks for having me, man. It's a pleasure to meet you boys
reality.
Here. Yeah, Twitter versus reality. I always tell people, I'm like, listen, you can hate me online, whatever, but if you meet me in person, we'd have a beer and we'd have fun. That's what I always say.
Well, you're having a beer right now, Yingling, right? Is that what you're sipping on?
Pennsylvania's best.
I like it. I like it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, below, this guy, look, he has broke news. He's broke some big time stories online. And he's also been at the center of Dolphins Twitter for a few years now. Not quite sure how to work that phone yet on here, but that's okay. We're going to get there. Ladies and gentlemen, Bobby Schaus. What up, man?
What's going on?
First of all, I like the shoes in the background. Before we got going, like we all had, he brought them out. And we're like, you can't just one up us. Ghost of Adam Gase got his shoes, and then I had to go get my LeBrons. I couldn't let you one up. How's it going, man? How's everything? How is everything in Dolphins Twitter world, Bobby Schaus?
It's as chaotic as you'd expect this time of year, but we're getting through it one day at a time.
Now, Bobby, where are you located at in the country?
I live in Lafayette, Louisiana.
Dude, what's up, brother? I'm in Mississippi. We're
really?
I'm right outside Jackson, Mississippi.
I got you
right there. Bayou Bobby.
Yeah, originally I'm from North Carolina, born and raised for 25 years, and then
I was born and raised in North Carolina. This is getting near. Where were you born?
This is good.
Where were you born and raised? Do you know where?
Oh, Winston-Salem.
Winston-Salem, okay.
I thought you were talking to Ghost.
No, that's okay. I was born in Portsmouth Naval Hospital, but my dad was military, and we lived right below Suffolk, Virginia, on the North Carolina border, right near Elizabeth City, and probably about an hour and a half away from the Outer Banks. So
I got you.
Yeah, I'm a good old North Carolina boy myself. North Kakalaki,
nice.
as they like to call it. I like it. Are you a Tar Heels fan or a Duke fan?
Oh, yeah. Tar Heel. No, okay. Tar Heel.
If you had said Duke, we were going to end the show right now. And that's what was going to happen.
I'd agree.
You didn't even know. I was about to. Bobby got disconnected. I don't know what happened. All right, man. Let's dive into it. A lot of people on YouTube might not realize who you guys are within the Dolphin community, and I think everybody has something to offer to the community, obviously. And the Dolphins Twitter world and Twitterverse, as I like to call it, is big and has a big I guess, personality of its own, and you guys are a big part of it. So what I want to do is have you guys talk about how you guys became Dolphins fans first, and obviously how you know the role of Dolphins Twitter has kind of evolved for you as a fan over the years. So we'll start with Ghost of Adam Gase. Tell me how you became a fan and how Dolphins Twitter's kind of evolved for you.
Yeah, I grew up in the Northeast, actually. I grew up about 20 miles north of Scranton, Pennsylvania. Shout out The Office. Yes, I know the show. Yes, we're obsessed with it. But my dad, he was always a Dolphins fan. He grew up in the Larry Zonka era, and he was a fullback and a linebacker and in high school and whatnot. He really associated himself with Larry Zonka and the toughness and all that, and he was just a big fan. So I kind of just grew up into it, and I was always a Dolphins fan. Me and my dad were probably I have two other brothers. They're not really into football, but me and my dad, that's something that we always connected over. But yeah, that's how I grew up. Philadelphia sports for everything else, though, except for football. But yeah, that's
we're all not perfect except the 1972 Dolphins.
Yep.
We'll forgive you for your Philadelphia fan.
I always make jokes at him. I'm like, Dad, I could have been an Eagles fan and seen a Super Bowl, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Wouldn't have it any other way.
You could have had years of Donovan McNabb and T.O. Instead, I got Brandon Marshall and who however many quarterbacks Brandon Marshall had. Chad Eddie. Okay. Yep. That's what I got. Thanks, Dad. Thanks a lot. How about Twitter? How when was the first time you got on Twitter, and when did you like start to see Twitter become like a place for Dolphins fans over there?
It was kind of funny. I was on Twitter like all throughout college. So like the mid 2000s, really, like 2009, 2010. And then I kind of started to shift over into like the Dolphins Twitter world. This was an old account where I had my real name, which clearly I can't have that anymore because I would have been doxxed at least 26 times this year alone. So I had to get rid of the real name once I started getting really involved in the Dolphins Twitter community and people getting all angry and stuff. But yeah, it was funny. Like me and Hoots or Houts, we were big Madden guys. So we were, back like 2015, 16, I was on my personal account and we were always chatting Madden and different plays and trying to rank ourselves up on the ranking boards and whatnot. And that's kind of like how I shifted into Dolphins Twitter. Always blocked by Omar Kelly, though. Like I've been blocked by Omar Kelly since like 2012, I think. Well, so that hasn't changed. So especially the new account.
Did you get blocked by Mike Gesicki when he was here? Because
no, he's never blocked.
The only blocking he ever did that was really, really good during his career.
I know that joke will never die. But then 2018, the day that Adam Gase got fired, that's kind of like when Dolphins Twitter that I got more acclimated to it. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna make like this funny account where it's kind of just Adam Gase's ghost commenting on everything, and that was the first few months of the account was where I was just commenting on stuff where people were making all these jokes about Adam Gase because he had just gotten fired and like kind of hating on the guy. And I would always chime in as his ghost being like, oh, I'm going to come haunt you or I'm going to come haunt your franchise. It's like, that's kind of where the account started. It was kind of because I have, it's kind of like Hard Rock Son. That's my account as well. So I was kind of using it as like a persona, but then it took on a life today. Here we are today, what, 6 years later?
Yeah.
And it's something completely different, and I wouldn't give it up for the world. This was it's always fun connecting with fans and going to the games. Having season tickets down in Hard Rock. It's been fun meeting everybody. Met a lot of probably lifelong friends, simply just from the app alone, and meeting them in person and tailgating.
Over 12,000 followers you have, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's been a fun ride so far.
Bobby, man, your story, man. How did you become a Dolphins fan? And then obviously the evolution of Bobby Schaus on Twitter.
Yeah, so it's kind of funny actually, or ironic. My dad was a big Dolphins fan. He was a huge Marino fan. So I might have been a Dolphins fan regardless. But my actual Pop Warner in my local town was the King Dolphins. So the first team I ever played for was the Dolphins. And, when you're 5, you think things work this way. I thought that one day, you're playing flag football, then tackle football, then one day you're playing for the Dolphins, the Miami Dolphins. But that's not how it worked. But
it didn't quite work out like that is what you're saying, Bobby. It didn't quite
work
out.
So, that wasn't the case. But, so my first Pop Warner experience was with a team called the Dolphins. So same colors, same logo, everything to a T. So I actually played for the Dolphins as a 5-year-old. And then
and the rest is history. You fell in love with the colors and the team, and you're like, I'm a Dolphins fan. What are you
that's
talking
it.
about?
Better or worse. And then the Twitter. So I've actually been on Twitter since like 2011, but I wasn't really active on Twitter. I use Twitter as like a newspaper, which I still do now. I just kind of got on, seen what like Omar Kelly, that was like the OG people. Like Omar Kelly in 2011 was like a cheat code for a Dolphins fan out of state. Like if you had Omar Kelly, you had everything.
Omar for a while.
And that's why to this day, man, I will never disrespect Omar, and I got love for him because I remember when I was 19 years.
Got some beef with him, man. I'm just saying,
I've always been blocked. Like I had some words about Tannehill, and like it's so weird. I was never like really disrespectful. I just have been blocked forever.
Okay. Well,
but yeah. Omar, so like,
if you're listening, Ghost would like to get unblocked and
unblock me, bro.
Okay, he just wants to talk, bro. That's all he wants.
Just want to chat.
But yeah, but I agree. Omar was the OG kind of the. If you lived outside of South Florida, he was like the guy that you could follow on social media to get because it wasn't like YouTube was a thing back then. And, there wasn't, I mean, I guess there were chat rooms maybe or AOL message.
Yeah, there might have been Discords or whatever.
Omar was, even though I joked that he has me blocked and we went back and forth on Twitter, but he was the guy, man. Like he was the plug for, I was out of state, I'm 1,500 miles away. So I followed him religiously. And again, Omar, if you're watching this, come on, let's be friends.
You're the OG that they're giving you. He's giving you love, man. No, it's kind of funny because growing up in North Carolina, I was the only Dolphins fan. So like I would go to school wearing my Dolphins stuff, have a Dolphins hat, Dolphins jacket, Dolphins shirt, and I'd always get, laughed at, but I rocked it. Like I rocked it proudly. And I couldn't remember interacting with other Dolphins fans until Twitter popped up.
Yep.
And that's and even then it was kind of limited up until the last few years. So let's talk about that. We'll start with you, Bobby. Dolphins Twitter has kind of taken a life of its own over the last few years. Explain, okay, I was just tweeting every day or following somebody to what it's evolved to now, which is like, for better or for worse, the home of like every Dolphins opinion in the world.
Yeah, so I think a couple things happened. One, whether you like it or not, I think the Tua immersion brought fans from a different, like people just came with Tua. So it's like,
say it.
Look,
say it.
I don't really care about the Dolphins, but Tua's there, so here I am. And I don't care, like that's fine. But it does get messy when it's like you're discussing the team as a whole, like what's best for the team.
Yeah.
People kind of forget that when it's like, they're like, yeah, what about Tua? Like, what are we doing for Tua? It's like, yeah, I mean, that's cool, but like, there's still a team. And when you're gone or he's gone 10 years from now, tomorrow, it's like, we're still going to have to worry about this team. So like, I think that was the biggest thing is the immersion of Tua fans. They hadn't been here through the struggles and they think like we've had 3 winning seasons in a row and they're like, oh, it's so hard. What are we doing? And it's like, y'all don't get it. Y'all don't get it.
It's weird when you have somebody who's kind of new to the fandom or the fan group. I don't have a problem with people wanting to come on board and be new fans. I want to recruit new fans, right?
For sure.
But when you're only used to losing or disappointment of a playoff loss, and you haven't been with us for 62-7 or however many years of losing and 1-15 and 3-13 and Greg Camarillo's touchdown to go one, like that kind of stuff for me is like, okay, like I am a fan. I know the highs, well, I don't know the highs to the highs. I still haven't felt that yet, but I definitely know the lowest of the lows. And you definitely get that on Twitter. Ghost, what about for you? You see some, Twitter can be what's the adjective I'd like to use? I'll let you choose the adjective of what Twitter can be sometimes.
It's a super volatile place. It's like a stock market that's out of control, especially within the last 4 years. Previously, even when I started the Ghost of Adam Gase account, even though I was on Twitter, way before that with the personal account, which again, I can't do these days. I would have been doxxed, probably fired from my job multiple times, everything else in between. But it has changed significantly. The one thing that the biggest difference is like before it was like camaraderie and it still is to a certain point, but there's a lot of like division in the fan base. And like Bobby said, there's some people, man, that just like I'll post about Troy Fatano and they'd be like, you get in there and you make this about Tua Tagovailoa right now. And it's like, you don't have to do that, man. Like you don't have to do it. Like I was tweeting about, like, I was shocked over like, we're all NFL fans,
Yeah.
I love Dolphins football, but I just love the NFL. It's really the only sport that I follow religiously. Hockey would be second, but it's like a distant second. And the Steelers made some crazy moves. Like you bring in Russell Wilson for basically $1 a game.
Fields. Like that conversation as football fans, period, is a great conversation. I agree.
Yeah, 6th round pick for a guy who was a first round pick, top 5 pick. 2 years ago.
Yeah,
and 3 years ago now, 3 seasons ago.
I mean, a franchise that thought they could get a 2 for a second round for him this offseason.
Correct. Like the conversation was like, is he going to get a first, a second, or a third? And then they roll in a 6th, and I'm tweeting about him. Like the Steelers are like, it's one of those organizations that if something's not working, we're going to try to fix it. And then I thought Justin Fields was going to go to the Steelers until they signed Russell Wilson. And I'm like, okay, well, there's no market for Justin Fields.
Yeah.
And clearly, like a 6th round pick, like who you start thinking of stuff in your mind, like is Justin, and we can get into it later, but like is Justin Fields better than Mike White? And then you get in these conversations as a Dolphins fan. But I was just tweeting like it's
of
crazy.
What you see on Twitter there is when it gets insane.
Yeah, I'm like, this is crazy. This is a crazy trade that the Steelers made. It wasn't working out with Kenny Pickett. He was their first round pick. He was later in the first round, but it didn't work out, and they saw it's not working out. And like, I respect the organization. It's like I have some immediately everyone's like, why do you hate Tua? And it's like, you don't have to make everything about Tua, man. You don't have to do that.
Has there ever been
to do it? You can just discuss what's happening in the NFL. That was a huge move. Like that's a huge talking point all off season. Probably they're going to take Caleb Williams, which I don't agree with. I don't even think he's the best quarterback in this draft. But as Bobby was saying, like there's a difference in a division, but it keeps it fun. I try to stay,
for the most part.
I try to stay respectful
when it's exhausting, and
there's a lot of people who make this. I feel like they make it their personality in real life too, which those people aren't too fun to interact with. But it's fun to go back and forth. But some people just take the stuff too personally, man. It's crazy.
Well, let me to stay on Tua for a second, because we're Dolphins fans and this is a Dolphins show, and
let's make it about Tua. Of course,
we got to make it about Tua, guys. Is it fair to say he's probably the most polarizing player in the NFL, with the exception of Tebow in the last 15 years, 20 years, maybe?
I think so. I think you could have 32 fan bases and they're going to have a polarized opinion. I don't know if there's going to be a fan base that you ask, like 31 other fan bases, you're going to get mostly that he's a terrible player. Especially if you ask AFC East fans. But then if you ask some, of course, like NFC fans who don't watch too much football, they'll say, oh, he's a good quarterback. He's good, this and that. But again, it's funny because we're on the topic of Twitter versus real life. And like, I'll meet a ton of Dolphins fans, especially in the Northeast. There's a ton of Dolphins fans in New Jersey, Pennsylvania. And it's a totally normal conversation. But on Twitter, it's constantly polarized. And it's always like, I hate the whole thing is when people talk about sides, when they use the word sides, oh, he's on that side or he's on this side. It's like, dude, what is this?
He's pro Tua or anti. He's a Tua hater or Tua non.
Why can't you just talk football? Why can't you just discuss like his accomplishments and have some critique?
Let me bring in Bobby. Why can't we just have a conversation about something like that? Why is it so extreme, Bobby? Why do people get so emotional over Tua? Like, why is it?
I really don't have an answer. That's probably the most disappointing part, though. It's like he said, you should be able to be objective over your team. That's the beauty of it. That's what we've been able to do forever. But like now, like he said, it's like you can't even be like, oh, that was a bad throw. This wasn't Tua's best game. People are like, oh,
It was
you
a
go to
bad
hell.
route.
Like,
It was
you
a
don't like
wrong.
Tua.
He
You
ran
don't
the
support
wrong
Tua.
route, Bobby.
And like, dude, I love Tua. Like, I'm pro Tua because I'm pro Dolphins. And if the Dolphins are going to be good, I need Tua to be good. So it makes no sense to root against the guy. I'm pro Tua in that sense because I'm always going to be pro Dolphins. But I can say this ain't his best game or this wasn't a good throw. He made a mistake. And I can believe it. And people can either
agree with it
respect
or
it or not.
disagree with it. It's not even about a level of respect. So let's talk about the reality. So if I hear something on if I hear, this the Dolphins are a mediocre team, or the Dolphins, that's actually saying it nicely compared to what you read on Twitter sometimes. You get these extreme points of view. Where does the extreme point of view and the reality of exactly where the team is, where does the truth lie, gentlemen? Because, yes, we can be upset for our team and just frustrated that they haven't won a playoff game since 2000. But we can also say, and fair, this is the best football team we've seen since 2000, in my opinion. So
Absolutely.
where does the truth lie?
I'll take that. Yeah, it's it's kind of cliche, but the truth is always somewhere in the middle. I believe like just Bobby, like Bobby said, I love the Dolphins. I fly down. I try to get to 8 games a year down in Miami. I'm flying down from the Northeast. I love the team that much that I want to go see them. Have season tickets, but there's not a world or a universe that I'm living in some parallel universe where I don't like the Dolphins, or I want the Dolphins to lose, or I want Tua to fail. If Tua's on the team, I'm going to be rooting for him. The issue is that the truth lies in the middle. Like Bobby said, it's like you can't criticize like a bad throw, or you can't say like, hey man, I wish that Tua played better in the final drive against Buffalo. I wish that he played better in the final drive against Tennessee. It's like, what about the defense? It's like, listen, it doesn't have to be this polarizing, but the truth is always in the middle. Tua is a top 10 quarterback. Anyone who says he's outside the top 10 is, I don't really respect that opinion. It's either they're a rival fan base or they just really haven't watched his game.
On
the other side, it's like, so is Dak Prescott. And he's had his set of challenges, winning playoff games, getting to the next level. And it's like, where do you draw that line where you're saying like, he could be a top, like the Dolphins are hands down a top 10 team in the NFL, without a doubt, a top 10 team. It doesn't matter if you hate them. It doesn't matter if you love them. You can rank them, say top 10, saying like half the people are saying they're top 5 or top 3. And the other, half are saying they're 10 or 9. It doesn't matter. They're a top 10 team. And, but the truth is always lies somewhere in the middle. And, it's really hard to find that on Twitter because a lot of people make Tua their personality. And I try to stay away from that, but there's a lot of accounts that do that. Shout out VBS.
We're not making that this. We're what we're gonna do is we're gonna find the reality of Dolphins Twitter and have them come over and say, guys, this is real life here. Let's talk about real life. Let's talk about Chris Grier, because one of the things about Dolphins Twitter is there's many different versions of how people or how the fan base sees Chris Grier. He doesn't draft well, but he's clearly hit on some picks, right? He, has screwed us up in the salary cap, but he clearly makes the changes with Brandon Short every year, it looks like, right? He, will stay too long with a player, i.e. Noah Igbenogany. Maybe Channing Tindall's that guy now. Maybe, and there are a lot of things that you could say, but nobody has 1,000 batting average, right? Nobody hits 10 for 10. That just doesn't exist. So, Bobby, let me ask you, what are some extreme versions of how people see Chris Grier, and how do you see Chris Grier?
Well, to start with everyone else, I mean, it's definitely it's similar to Tua, really, because unfortunately those two are tied to the hip. So a lot of people that you can't tell them Chris Grier is wrong. And I'll jump in on this sometimes. We sign somebody, we get a Kendall Fuller out of nowhere when I don't even think we got money. And I'm going to be like, damn, Greer's cooking, But there's people that like literally he could do anything. And they'll be like, y'all doubted Grier, Sleepy Grier this. Yeah, look now. But reality is he's a decent GM. I think we could have worse for sure, I think. But where I stand is I think he's done well. I mean, we got more talent than I've ever seen. I can't complain. It's fun as hell having Ramsey, Tyreek Hill. If you'd have told me 3 years ago that we'd have Ramsey, Tyreek Hill, Bradley Chubb, Kendall Fuller, Jordan Brooks, Teron Armstead, Raheem Mostert, if you'd have told me that, I would have been like,
there's no way that's going to happen.
yeah, that's not going to happen. So I can't sit here and complain about Grier when he's given me the most fun team I've ever seen, that we've ever seen. But I do believe that him and Tua, unfortunately, need to be tied to the hip. So if Tua doesn't work and it comes to that point where they're going to pivot, then Grier needs to go to. So if Tua's going to be the guy, maybe it prolongs the inevitable. We find out later he's not the guy. But either way, I think Grier probably needs to be tied to Tua, no matter how good the team around him is.
I personally agree with you, Bobby. Like, I'm 100% with you. Ghost, let me ask you, there's a lot of different viewpoints of Chris Grier. When people are on Twitter or trying to get out their viewpoint, whether it's anti or pro Chris Grier, where can an average Twitter follower of the Dolphins find the truth? Like, what is your view of Grier, and where do you see Grier right now?
I see a lot of angry people on Twitter, probably just angry in their own personal lives, that take it out on Grier, take it out on Tua, take it out on other people, take it out on, I don't agree with their
Take
opinion.
it out on you.
I'm
Take
gonna
it out
attack
on
you
Ghost of
personally.
Adam Gase.
Yeah, it's fine. It's like, if you want me to be the martyr, I'll be the martyr. You want to yell at me, that's fine. You can make fun of me all you want. But anyway, like, I do agree with Bobby on some points where Grier does stick with guys. You see it with Liam Eichenberg. He's a second-round pick. He values his first, second, and sometimes third-round picks a little too highly, and he'll stick with them. Liam Eichenberg, he's probably going to get a starting job, especially with his salary kicking in. He's probably going to, unless they do something, he's probably going to be starting.
I hope you're wrong, Ghost. I hope you're wrong, but
I hope I'm wrong too.
I don't think you are.
He does stick with guys a little bit too long, but that is the nature. Is you got to respect the fact that he believes in his picks and he believes in his guys. And another thing what people don't realize is that Grier doesn't make these picks without consultation from the head coaches. He gets all of his input from Flores. He got all of his input from McDaniel. Adam Gase as well, with like Minka Fitzpatrick. Like, that was an Adam Gase pick. They really wanted these guys coming in, and it's not all Grier. But at the end of the day, you need to be a GM. And I do think he does a great job at contracts. Him and Brandon Shore are magicians when it comes to contracting and restructuring and really kicking that can down the road. And sometimes we don't even have to face that can. We saw it a couple of times with Byron Jones.
We were going to see it this year.
I thought I was going to see it. I did think we were going to see it this year.
Mike Oliva, shout out to Big Mike, boss man here on Dolphins Talk. He was like, we're going to do a soft reset, or we're going to take a regression. And I thought for a second he was right, and then, a few days later, I'm like, Kendall Fuller, Jordan Poyer. Okay, let's go. I'm buying into this. Like, I am okay with the route that we're going. I had a conversation with Josh Moser on That's Another Miami Dolphins First Down podcast Tuesday nights at 7:30 right here on Dolphins Talk. Shameless plug. But one of the things that I had a conversation with him was that the money and being able to take a guy like Poyer for $2 million for 1 year, an elite talent, take away from a division rival. And like, you can't, like, that. To me, look, Grier's got something to do with that. And that's pretty amazing. Good, bad, or indifferent.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I was in the boat where I was like, if we lose Andrew Van Ginkel, if we lose Christian Wilkins, and we lose Robert Hunt, I'm like, that's kind of unforgivable for Grier. And as things unfolded, obviously we lost all three of those, but then you saw the contracts they got, minus Van Ginkel. I think that we could have ate the contract. I think that was more of a personal decision for the Van Ginkel family wanting to go back to the Midwest. So I'm fine with that now. But I was kind of frustrated. I'm like, how do we not just retain this talent? Like, you draft this talent and you can't retain it. But then, we make the signings like Kendall Fuller, and then we bring in Jordan Poyer, and we bring all these guys and Brooks, and we cut Baker and whatnot. So you do see that there's people wanted to call it a soft reset, but I think we replaced talent with equal or better in some places for a lot less expensive of a price tag. So, I think Grier does a good job. There's plenty of other GMs in the league that are in worse spots. I mean, look at what happened in Denver. Like, that's an absolute massacre of a GM job there. Like, they have an $85 million cap hit over the next 2
The worst
years.
trade in NFL history.
It's unbelievable. Like, it's crazy.
The worst trade in NFL history.
It's unbelievable.
It's not even close.
So we can absolutely have worse, but I do agree with Bobby that, man, Tua is like, if Tua doesn't work out, Grier doesn't work out. If Tua becomes that franchise guy, becomes that elite talent, he takes that
then
next
Grier
step.
deserves an extension and all the money, and
The guy's probably going to be our GM for generations to come. Until he retires from that job. So
Bobby, you were about to say something when Ghost started. What did you want to say there?
Yeah, I was going to say, whether we believe it or not, it's Grier, but it's also, I think we're to the point now where we really are a destination. Instead of like Ryan Clark coming here to visit just for the Steelers to pay him a little more, I think what you're seeing is, whether we believe it or not, due to how the season ended, I think players actually see Miami as a destination.
100%.
Not only is it a nice place to live, it's not a bad place to play. And every player we signed was like, man, you want to play for McDaniel. He's just super cool, super smart. Like, he knows when to get serious, but he's relatable. Like, I want to be here playing for him. Like, I mean, Jordan Poyer signed 2 hours later. The first tweet his wife said was, he can't wait to play for McDaniel. He's a defensive guy.
It's so funny you talk about being a destination. Go look at Robert Hunt's contract that he got in Carolina. They had to overpay him by several $1 million to get him to come to Carolina, right? Go look at the contract that Brandon Jones got in Denver. I think he was overpaid there by a few $1 million. And it was, nobody else is offering me this kind of money. I'm going to go take the money and run. There's almost nothing wrong with that from that standpoint, right? There were times in Miami Dolphins history, you and I know this, the Dominican Sue, Brandon Marshall, and there are plenty of other names we can name, where we had to overpay to keep these guys satisfied with being in a Dolphins uniform. Yep, exactly. So nowadays, we're got one of the best safeties to leave his team that he's been with and making potential Super Bowl runs with, to say, F this, I'm gone. This isn't going to work out. I'm going to go somewhere and I'm going to try to win a Super Bowl somewhere, and it happens to be, look, Poyer could have signed wherever the hell he wanted to. And for that money, I guarantee you there was at least 16 to 20 teams that would have offered his services at that price. Am I wrong? Yeah. So he wanted to come here. He wanted to be a Miami Dolphin so bad that he was willing to take $2 million to say, okay, let's do it. We'll do it. I'll take $2 million for a year.
I think another good point there is, like you said, we were that team. For a long time, we were the team, Mike Tannenbaum years, where it was just, we'll pay you whatever just to just come here, please. Give us a good player, Sue. Let us have somebody. And I think that's the biggest confusion with, man, look at this financial situation. Grier sucks. And look at this financial situation. Grier has brought so much talent. That's why we're in here. Because, it's not like we paid Mike Wallace and Donnell Ellerby. No, we got,
those are names.
We got stars, and you can't keep them all. They all cost – you got, a $30 million guy, a $25 million guy.
You arguably have the best wide receiver in all of the NFL. You have a top 10 quarterback in the league. You have the NFL leading touchdown running back last year, right? And Raheem Moser. Mm-hmm. You're right. I don't think I've ever thought about it like that, Bobby.
Yeah. People get so mad.
You can get mad at it, but look at the talent he's brought in. Name me another GM that's done that. You don't see it. It doesn't happen. And it hasn't happened in our organization at all. And that includes the year Shula was running the organization, you know? So, and that was a totally different world than with free agency and everything, but still, Jimmy Johnson years, Bill Parcells era, all that, right? So, yeah, I agree with you. I would, Bobby, I think after this conversation and that comment, I would probably say Chris Grier's the best GM we've had since Parcells, maybe? Is that fair? Is he better than Parcells?
So, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he can't not be. I mean, like I said, that's the biggest confusion. And it's like people, every time you see a tweet about us maybe restructuring somebody or whatever, or every time one of our players signed with another team, they were like, Chris Grier put us here. Yeah, he did, because he drafted those guys. And then he brought 10 more guys on top of those guys that are better than those guys. Yeah, he couldn't keep them all. And you got that abundance of talent around you, and you're just mad. That's kind of crazy to me.
All right, last couple thing I want to talk about. And by the way, if you're watching this on Dolphins Talk right now, hit the like button, share the link, let people know about this show, which is the #1 Miami fan show, Clock Blockers. You can find us here middays and mornings right here on Dolphins Talk. And if you want the audio version of this, you guys can go wherever it is you get podcasts and download the audio version of this show too. So make sure you guys check that out as well. Twitter, right? That's why we're here today. That's what this show's kind of about, this special episode today. What is one thing that you would like to see change in Dolphins Twitter world? Like, I don't care, positive or negative. What is one thing that you want to change in Dolphins Twitter world? It can be how we go after people. It can be, hey, let's stop with this narrative. Hey, let's not say every free agent, whatever it is. I just want to know, what if you could change one thing in the Dolphins Twitter world, what would it be? We'll start with you, Ghost.
Just get rid of the whole two asides argument. Like, that just ruins conversations. It tanks conversations. It tanks good talk. Like, really, that's all it is. Quit saying like, oh, this person's on this side, you can't talk to him. This person's on this side, you can't talk to him. It's like fucking West Side Story over here. You know what I mean? Like, it's so dumb. It's really so stupid. And like I said, it didn't used to be like that. This is only within the last 4 years. And people started going like, you're a fake fan, fake this. You're a fake fan because you support Twitter. You're a fake fan because you don't support to it. Like, let's just we all want the same thing. And I've like diffused conversations like that, diffuse arguments. Like, listen, we all want the same thing. Okay. That's all we want. We all want to win. We all want to win a Super Bowl. We all want to go to Miami. We all want to take that flight to the parade. That's all we want to do. Like, quit the whole sides thing and quit making everything about one guy. I'm a fan of the team first. I don't put a player above the team. Let's just not do that. You don't have to do that.
Black Friday last year that bought tickets. I bought 2 tickets. Oh, I bought a lot of tickets, but I bought a return flight from Vegas back to Mississippi and a return flight to Vegas to Fort Lauderdale for the parade. And this was before the last 5 weeks of the year, but I was ready last year, man. I had never bought. I was ready to go. I got hotels in Vegas. I was like, we're doing this year. I don't care what anybody says. Well, it didn't happen. Good thing they were refundable, and I could use them for other flights at a later date. Thank God for Southwest.
Thank God.
Bobby, if you could change one thing on Twitter and Dolphins Twitter, what would it be?
I think a little more cohesion, a little less gatekeeping. Kind of what Ghost said, but a little bigger. Like, I feel like people get a little too carried away with titles or however you want to put it, and like thinking their opinion means more because they're a journalist or a beat reporter or whatever. People bring just as much value that have 5 followers or 25,000 followers. And if it's not your job or not, it doesn't mean you don't know ball. Your opinion doesn't mean it's right or wrong if you do have a job that pays you to say your opinion. So I think people get too caught up in that, and that kind of gets messy too.
It does. If I could change one thing on Twitter, I think it's what Ghost says. I like Bobby. You're with the gatekeeping. I would agree with that. Not having sides, Ghost. I would agree with that. But I think ultimately, we need to be kinder to each other. That's what we need. We just need to be kinder to each other and realize we are all here to see a Super Bowl run. Okay. Now, I understand we all have PTSD. I understand that. I get it. Guys, Dolphins, we need to stick together. We don't need other fan bases laughing at us because we're arguing with each other. No more of that. We're not doing that no more. From here on out, hence this day forward, I do declare peace in Dolphins Twitter. That's what I want to see.
Good luck with that, buddy. Good luck with that.
Right.
All right. Ghost, where can the people find you? And do you have anything going on, or what do you got going in the near future, man?
No, man, just at Ghost of Adam Gase. I just chill out on Twitter and give my opinions and try to make some jokes, make people laugh. It's kind of where I intersect as a child. I loved Chris Farley, and I wanted to be a comedian, and I wanted to be an actor, but I also wanted to make a living. I also wanted to make a living and work in the medical field and all that. So that's kind of where the two things intersect, and I'm happy with where I'm at, and just if I can make some people laugh along the way, let's do it.
You make me laugh, man. I have enjoyed interacting with you on Twitter, and I look forward to interacting with you more on Twitter. Bobby, where can the people find you? What do you got going on?
Yep, Twitter. My username is right here at the bottom of the square. There on the daily, going back and forth with people.
All day, every day. If you guys like this, make sure you guys go check them out. Ghost of Adam Gase, at B_Schaus Jr. Bobby is the man. Ghost, I appreciate you guys coming on. If you guys want to interact more, make sure you guys go to Twitter or X or whatever it is you kids call it nowadays. I'm always going to call it Twitter. It'll always be Twitter to me. And make sure you guys go check them out and interact. They're a bunch of great guys. And if you want to have some real conversations about your favorite football team, these are two guys to go do it and interact with on Twitter. All right. Look, Clock Blockers right here on Dolphins Talk. This has been a great episode. If you guys have questions or want to interact with us in the comments section below, make sure you guys ask, or if you agreed or you disagree with us, or you think Ghost of Adam Gase is crazy, or Bobby Schaus Jr. is insane, or Stephen D is just some slob in his whatever you think. All right, we're here for it, good or bad. But if you want to be kind, we'll take that too. We like nice things said about us. So make sure you guys do that in the comment section below and share the link. Till the next time, this has been Clock Blockers live on Dolphins Talk. Peace.